Hey everyone, ready to explore something kind of mind-blowing today? We're going to be diving into digital immortality.
Yeah, that whole idea of maybe, just maybe, not actually dying. At least not in the way we think about it now.
Right. Like, what if we could upload our consciousness? It sounds crazy, but then I think about that movie, Upload. Have you seen it? And suddenly it feels not so far-fetched.
Definitely gets you thinking, especially with this article, Digital Immortality, Life Forever, but at what cost?
Yeah.
It brings up the really big questions like, could we even capture what makes you, you, in a digital format?
It's a total trip, right? And this article doesn't hold back. It talks about companies like Neuralink actually working on this stuff. Brain-computer interfaces.
Which is wild when you really think about it, because we're talking about a direct link between our brains and computers. I mean, imagine controlling your phone just by thinking about it.
Okay, that's both incredibly cool and a little creepy. Like, do I want my thoughts going directly online?
Right. It's a total blur between science fiction and reality. And that's where this whole idea of consciousness comes in. The article talks a lot about this. Can we even define it?
Yeah, like, is it just electrical signals in our brains that we can map out? Or is it something way more complex?
Exactly. And that's something I think this deep dive will really make you think about. What do you believe makes you you?
Is it memories? Values? Experiences? Could you even translate that into ones and zeros? Let's say for a second that you could make a digital copy of your mind. The article calls this the copy problem.
And it gets really philosophical really fast. Because if you have a digital copy of you running around, which one is the real you? The original or the copy?
Whoa. It's like that ship of Theseus thing, if you replace every part of a ship, is it still the same ship?
Exactly. And that's the crux of this whole copy problem, even if it's a perfect copy with all the same information and personality. Is it truly you, or is there something different about existing digitally versus in the real world?
That is a serious head scratcher. And it doesn't even stop there. This article also goes into how our perception of time could totally change in a digital state.
Yeah, think about it. Your mind operating at the speed of a computer, a year could feel like a day, or vice versa. It just completely throws our understanding of time out the window.
So our sense of time could be, like, totally different. What does that even mean for, actually living in a digital world? Can we still have goals or relationships, or even just experiences that feel real?
It's wild to consider, right? I mean, imagine forming relationships that could last for centuries or even thousands of years. At least that's how it would feel to you. Or think about tackling these huge projects, but you've basically got forever to do it.
It really makes you think about how much our understanding of time shapes everything. Like, right now, everything feels urgent
Right.
because we know our time is limited.
Yeah.
But if we take that away,
You've got it. The article really dives into this idea, like how would we value time if our perception of it was completely different? It could change our goals, our motivations, even our understanding of life and death.
and whoa, speaking of death, wouldn't that get even weirder in a digitally immortal world? Like, what happens if your digital consciousness gets deleted or corrupted? Is that like a new kind of death?
That's a question the article brings up, yeah. And it ties into some real concerns we already have about digital security. If our minds are essentially data, they become vulnerable, right? Hacking, viruses, even just a power outage could be a big deal.
It's like that Black Mirror episode where that whole
Oh,
theme park goes offline and all those digital copies start freaking out.
makes you think,
Like, if we can upload our minds, who gets to control them?
Exactly. The article really goes there. Like, if this tech becomes real, who gets access? Will it just be for the super rich? It could make inequality even worse.
Totally. A two-tiered society. Those who can afford to live forever digitally and those who are stuck with, regular old death. And even if everyone could do it,
Mhm.
who gets to decide what happens to your digital self after you're gone?
Right. And what about consent? Like, could someone just upload your consciousness without your permission? And suddenly, boom, you're living in the digital world forever, whether you like it or not.
That is seriously messed up. I
Yeah.
mean, digital immortality has all these potential upsides,
Yeah.
right? Longer life, more knowledge, maybe even some kind of global consciousness. But the ethical questions are huge. We're just starting to scratch the surface here. Okay, so we've talked about some seriously heavy stuff, but what about the potential upsides? The article mentioned this idea of a global consciousness, which sounds kind of wild.
Right. It's definitely one of the more out there ideas when it comes to digital immortality. Imagine individual consciousnesses all linked together in the digital realm, sharing knowledge, experiences, perspectives.
So instead of being like separate minds,
Mm-hmm.
we all become part of something much bigger, kind of like a hive mind, but hopefully less,
Yeah.
you know, evil overlordy.
Yeah, exactly. Though the article points out that even if it's not some evil superintelligence, it still raises questions about identity. Like, do we still have a sense of self within this global consciousness? Or do we become something totally different?
Whoa. So many big questions. But it makes me think about, our digital lives right now. We're always creating data posts, emails, photos. It's
Hmm.
almost like building a digital version of ourselves, even if it's not conscious.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought. And actually, the article touches on that towards the end. It suggests that maybe we're already on the path to a kind of digital immortality, even if it's not the mind uploading kind.
Wait, really? What do you mean?
Well, think about it. Every comment, every photo you share online, it's a little piece of you preserved digitally. Long after you're gone, that data will still exist. It's like leaving these digital echoes of yourself behind.
So you're saying, like, even if it's just our online personas, our digital footprints could be a form of immortality.
It's definitely a possibility worth considering, and it makes you wonder, as we live more and more of our lives online, at what point does that digital footprint become more than just data? When does it become a legacy?
That is definitely a new way of thinking about it. Less about, like, uploading your consciousness and more about the traces of ourselves that live on in the digital world. And it's happening right now, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes this whole topic so fascinating. Digital immortality isn't just this far-off sci-fi concept. It's a whole spectrum of possibilities, some more realistic than others, that really get us thinking about life, death, and what it means to leave a mark on the world.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. I know I'll be looking at my own digital footprint a little differently now. So, for everyone listening, remember, digital immortality might sound like something out of a movie, but the tech is getting closer all the time. And even if we never actually upload our minds, the questions it raises about consciousness, identity, and what we leave behind are relevant to all of us right now.
Well said. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway here. As we move further into this digital age, we need to be thoughtful about the technologies we're creating. It's not just about the science, but the ethics, too. What kind of future do we want to build?
Absolutely. It's about making conscious choices today that will shape the digital landscape for generations to come. And hey, who knows, maybe in that future, death as we know it will be a thing of the past. We'll all be leaving our digital footprints across the universe. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those digital footprints interesting.